Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I think the whole thing, because, well, I won't go into all of it. I was asked to address this by another entity at one point, and it got a little crazy. But what I think the big picture is the fact that the way the world is right now, and the way law enforcement is, it's so chaotic and crazy, and everybody's fighting over the same people. And I think the problem is the urgency that the sheriff's office has to get those people in the seats as fast as we can get them there. And it was said that, you know, it's a very thorough and fair process. I don't think there's any arguments on either side of that. I think that's exactly what it is. It's that front end needs to be streamlined so that number of those applicants can get approved, processed, and everything, and we can get them in a seat. You know, whether that be code of class or whether it be hired straight in to the FTO or to the academy or the FTO program or whatever, to get them on the streets, to get them employed here, and then let us focus on the retention and keeping them here. Because that's the next step.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Rubel.
Yeah, I would. Is that on? I hate to. If that's on, I'm going to go back and talk about what Gabe said earlier. When he's talking about can't fill positions, I want to make sure, because everybody around the table that's been involved in it knows exactly what he means. I want to make sure the commissioners know what he means. We hire out of corrections into our other positions. That's exactly what she was talking about, hiring into patrol. So over in forensics.
And just to clarify, everyone sort of starts in corrections and
Yes.
then comes out of that.
But civilians, that's to address his issue. Civilians are kind of.
When you say corrections, essentially we start in the jail and then you move up from there.
And he's waiting for, you say 5 now, that's the positions you've got. We've got Todd Cook, who's over in pretrial, he's waiting for 3 or 4 and been waiting for a long time. And we've recently had to cancel I don't think we canceled it, but there was in the works, a patrol academy, and then we didn't have a patrol academy because we're so short in corrections. Again, I'm not casting aspersion. I know that they've worked hard and we've got a lot of people through the system. But I needed you all to understand that's the way the system works, is you come into corrections and then you get you do a year, 2, 3, however bright your star shines, and then you move out into these other positions. The reason that's so important for you to understand is that when we're clogged up in corrections and we're short, all these other people suffer at the same time in the sheriff's office. So that's why it's so important that you understand that corrections is the beginning.
Is there a reason for that? Help me understand what the original philosophy was behind it. And I see you wanting to say something. So I'm going to ask Crystal this question. What was the original philosophy? So I'm going to jump from you to her real quick.
Well, I did just want to add one caveat to the direct hiring. We do take laterals, but
meaning if you were working for Blount County Sheriff.
Correct.
So certified.
Okay.
Correct. So we are still taking lateral transfers, but to answer your question, I'm not in charge. I can't answer that.
Okay. So maybe
I know
this.
that. Well, we have to have corrections officers too, and I get that, but patrol's hurting. They're tired, and they need help.
Okay.
And so that would be my argument on why you know, if you got a kid on the street, when they find out that they have to go to corrections first, then often they just go somewhere else.
Okay, that's a good point. So tell me that original philosophy.
The philosophy is, and it goes back and forth. Other sheriffs do it differently. When the first sheriff I worked for, Sheriff Fowler did. I worked for him when I was in law director's office. Sheriff Hutchison did the hire into corrections and then work your way out. Does 2 things good for us, which is it lets us know that you can work in the law enforcement system. A lot of people have no idea what it means to work in law enforcement. You have to have a certain mentality, a certain idea about security. I'm sure Chief Purvis could address that issue. There's a certain, for lack of a better phrase, toughness that you need to be able to do this job. And hiring directly off the street, not a lateral, is sometimes problematic. Secondly, it is a benefit to the corrections officers and the recruiting in corrections that they know within 2-3 years that they can move out to patrol. If you have a position, a situation where you hire directly into patrol, or in a time when you're crunched, you hire directly into patrol, you have crushed morale in the corrections division, because those men and women have been sitting there waiting on those positions to come open. So what you do is you end up affecting all those people that bought into the system, saying, okay, I'll go do a couple of years here, and then all of a sudden 12 are hired directly from the outside, and now we've got even more people that are quitting. And to address what Ms. Taylor said,
I'm hearing the original intent was to say, do you have the ability to sort of work with the bad guys and do this? If you do, you've sort of proven yourself into the next level, but that model may have needed to change over time, and it's hard when you're dealing with people that are institutionalized in a certain way.
The problem that we have now, and this is to go back, because I agree with them, we put a whole bunch of people on, we lost a lot of people, and we do exit interviews to find out why. And the why is A, it's a tough job, and B, the pay is low.
Yeah.
So that continues to be the overarching. We had a guy come in and say he's going back to welding because he could make more money, and nobody's going to try to whack him in the back of the head with a chair. And you can't argue with that. We all work to feed our children. So the idea that, and that's why this problem gets hairy. If we can't fill corrections, then it does cause problems for everybody else. And even if we adopted what Crystal said, and she and I we have a philosophical disagreement about that. If we hire directly to patrol, we're going to cause more resignations and corrections.
No, I've heard
We're going to end up exacerbating the problem. And I think Chief might want to speak to this. Remember, when we're 10, I think we're 10 down now. When we first started, we were 30 down in corrections. And that is 30 appropriated from the commission position. But the last survey we did, weren't we 40 low of even, so translate that. We're 30 down in the positions that the commission have given us, but when we do a professional analysis of how many we should have 40 more than that. So when we're 30 down, we're actually 70 down. Everybody see what I'm saying? We only have 30, we are 30 short in the position.
This is a supply chain logistical.
Sorry?
This is a supply chain almost, bottleneck and it ripples across the organization.
That's exactly right. And when she talks about patrol is already so is corrections. That's one of the reasons we have people that are, they're supposed to be covering one pod, they're covering two pods. And
Chief Purvis, you want to jump in on this for a second? And then I want to ask a question over here for a second. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. One of the things I would like to say, a couple of things to reiterate a little bit of what Chief said, but also just point out that we don't have a problem recruiting patrol. We have a problem recruiting corrections. We've got lots of corrections officers who are waiting for the opportunity to go to patrol. So that's our main recruitment.
It's a backfill,
We get a high quality of corrections officer here because they see the opportunity to advance and go to patrol. Very, very few individuals come to the Knox County Sheriff's Office looking to make corrections a career. Very, very few, a minute number of individuals. Most of the individuals that are coming in, they come to us and they stay with us because they see that high probability of getting the opportunity to advance and become a patrolman. Also, that being said, that 1 year, and it's not even a full year for most of our employees, but that time period that we have them in the corrections environment, we're monitoring and watching them in high stress situations. We're watching them as, are they a person that responds with too much force? Are they a person that can use interpersonal communication skills? Can they?
It's a testing ground.
Yeah, and we can determine if that individual is got the personality to work in that type of environment with the type of individuals that we have to deal with. And if there are any indications under that close supervision that there's a problem, then we deal with that on the correctional side of things. That's why we have that probationary period of time. That's an individual that's not out there on the street and finding out that they have a personality issue or a demeanor that's not going to facilitate well into the law enforcement community. And we're dealing with it in there under closer supervision. So there's a lot of benefits to beginning in the corrections division rather than jumping directly into patrol.
Thank you.